What if you could achieve results in your career that feel almost impossible, like multiplying your income fivefold in just 5 months? That's exactly what today's guest, Kelsie Nibel, accomplished. And the best part? She did it by learning to sell from a place of wholeness. Welcome to Superhuman Selling. I am so excited to bring you the most amazing guest today. Kelsie is here with me. I'm going to have you introduce yourself in just a moment. But Kelsie is the most phenomenal soul who I've gotten to know dearly over the course of this past year. Not only a powerhouse leader in corporate sales, we're going to talk today about how you sold over $1 million in just 2 quarters after experiencing a pretty transformational shift. I think you're a huge inspiration to women in corporate. You're a wife, you're a mom, you're a member of our community as well. I think you're a real leader. And seeing your growth and how you've embodied this material at a quantum leap in a short amount of time has been so powerful. So welcome to Superhuman Selling. I'm so happy to have you.
Hey, yeah, I'm so excited to be here and just talk through what's been happening over the last 6 months. It's been a really amazing journey. So ready to dive in.
Oh my gosh, let's do it. Anything else that you would add just about yourself, your background that you want to share a little bit more with the audience about before we dive
No,
in?
I think it's important to kind of set some context here because I'm in a corporate selling role right now, and I've been in corporate for like the last 10 years or so, and more recently moved into corporate selling actually back in 2021. And the first few years, first couple years, I should say, were more challenging than I had expected. And to kind of see how things have transformed, where now it feels so easy and effortless, I owe it a lot to what we've been learning in the 10K community. So yeah, I'm super excited to dive in.
Well, and I think someone may hear, okay, 5x in 5 months. And one of the questions that we get a lot from people outside of the community is, okay, I hear these quantum leap stories, but do you have to be an entrepreneur to quantum leap? Do you have to run your own business? And what's been so fun is seeing you and other powerhouse women in corporate embody this material, embody selling from wholeness, which we'll talk about today too, and have exponential growth in corporate. So we'll speak a little bit more to the transformation in a minute, but take us back to some of the before. So you mentioned there were challenges and struggles before this material, which we can all relate to, right? But tell us a little bit about, I guess, what life was like before you understood this material and everything that you do now.
And I think a lot of people in my career path, which is in corporate selling, could relate to this. So, and just to kind of set some context as like who I am as a woman, when I grew up, I observed my parents working really hard. It was a grind energy. It was, if you want to make a lot of money, you can. It'll just cost you a lot, your family, your time. And so the effort of doing that was quite monumental. And so for the first 10 years of my career, that's what I did. I grinded it out. I worked long hours. I sacrificed my health. I had panic attacks. It was just not a really amazing way to live. I don't think anyone wants to be in that state of mind. And then I got pregnant with my little girl. And I remember having this overwhelming feeling of, what the hell am I going to do to balance my career? Because I always aspired to be a working mom. I wanted to hold my career and still go for that. But I also wanted to be a present mom. And I wanted to be there for her and experience being a mom, because I knew from many years and watching other mentors that said, hey, yeah, I don't spend a lot of time with my kids. And I just said, I don't want that. So I started to realize with this mounting pressure, and I wasn't able to really feel good about my life in corporate and then now becoming a mom, I was at a loss for words. Like, how am I going to do this? I needed a blueprint. So I actually started looking into coaching, because I thought there's got to be someone that knows how to do this, that doesn't look like 60-hour work weeks, burnout, and exhaustion. And yeah, you've got a great career and you're making good money, but there had to be a better way.
Yes. And I think, when I hear your story, there's so many commonalities and similarities in our story. And it's always fun for me to hear you share a little bit of your background because that was so much of my experience too. And I think so much of what's taught
Yeah.
is if you're going to have a certain level of success, and now by most people's definition, that's money, right? And I've learned
Yep.
success to me is a lot more than just money now.
Uh-huh.
But if you're going to make a certain level of money, have a certain level of success in corporate, it's going to require major sacrifice, right? Not just in corporate, as entrepreneur as well. This is a lot of the thinking. You're going to have to burn the candle at both ends. You're going to have to hustle and grind. And so we buy into that and we try it. And then, whether we have a life-altering moment, for me, it was more there was a lot of change right around when my first son was born, but also just as I was coming into my 30s thinking, "I don't wanna keep living this way," right?
Oh, I know.
And you say, "Is there another way?
Yeah.
Is there another way to achieve success?" So,
Yeah.
tell everyone a little bit about, I guess, tell us about your first quantum leap, because we know you're in another quantum leap right now, which
Yeah.
we'll see how much you talk about on this show, but your first quantum leap, what
Yep.
shifted for you and what happened on the other side of that?
Yeah, I mean, it all goes back to when we met,
Yeah.
actually. That's what started it. So I was in a corporate mastermind for
Yeah.
sellers, and we met back in April of
Yeah.
this year.
And
And
by the way, I wanna shout out that
yeah,
corporate mastermind, really. So, Ian Koniak's mastermind, which is awesome, by the way, for B2B sellers,
yeah,
and so
another one of my coaches.
yeah, another one of your coaches. So I just wanna give a shout out because that's how we met and
Yeah,
connected.
and
Yeah.
Ian is wonderful. And so
Yeah.
he held this mastermind for corporate sellers, and that's where you were hosting a mini series, if you will, at that mastermind. And then you started asking questions that I had not really asked myself in some time, which was, if no one was looking, what would you be doing? If you could
Mm.
live your biggest, wildest dream, what would that look like if there were no restraints, you had no money constraints? What would it look like? And I remember thinking, I love that question. Yes, like let's dive into that. But then I felt so much resistance to it. And I
Mhm.
actually felt like, wow, I have this dream. I can see this vision, but it felt hard still. So it prompted me to go deeper with you. And I remember the first thing that I did in my quantum leap was actually dive into money. And that's probably one of the biggest limiting beliefs that we got to rewire together, because in corporate selling, there's many facets to it. There's strategy and tactic, which is really important in corporate selling. It's an important skill to acquire. But then the mindset behind it is truly what fuels your success. And when we started tapping into the money piece, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I had so many limiting beliefs around how money circulates and is exchanged in my life. And when we started doing that
Mm.
work, that's when my first quantum leap started to happen, when I shifted my relationship with money.
Wow. And so I'd love to hear a little more of your perspective on that because we teach a method, and because you're part of it. You're part of the 10K Club in the community. We teach a method called the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth.
Yeah.
And it's a method that came through after I had my own first quantum leap experience. And I realized how much relationship with money plays into the amount that we sell,
Yeah.
right? Because we all have a financial set point. We have an amount that we're comfortable receiving. And you'll never sell beyond that. But a lot of people don't realize that. And they think, if I want to grow my sales in corporate, then I've just got to grind harder. I've just got to hustle harder. And it's all about the surface level action, which according to neuroscience is only responsible for 3 to 5%
Yeah.
of your results. And to me, shifting your relationship with money is so powerful. So, what did you see the impact being in your own experience with
Yeah.
changing relationship with money, and you started to see more of that flowing in through your
Yep.
corporate sales role? Yeah.
Yeah. It's the before was money is my master. It governs
Mm.
my life. And I used to say, when I have enough money, I'll start living this life, or I'll start doing these things. And the shift in that was that money is now my servant, and it's
Mm.
here to serve
Mhm.
me,
Yeah.
and it flows easily into life. The before, when money becomes your master, it almost becomes godlike, and you grip it even tighter.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of an energy of scarcity around it. And this will come back to like how now I'm selling from a place of wholeness
Yes.
and abundance, where I have a trust that money will always be there for me. And it's always in circulation. It's always flowing in and out. That's where I am now. But before, it was definitely like there was a white knuckling element
Right.
to how I held money. And what's interesting is when you start applying that flow in your business, even in corporate, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to this. But in corporate, when you start just trusting that your clients that are out there, that your money from those clients is going to come to you,
Right.
it just started to come in. And I honestly was like leaning back more than I ever had in my corporate life, just in an
Mm.
inherent trust and knowing that if I shifted my relationship with money, I would shift my relationship with my clients.
So good.
Yeah.
And when you say leaning back, so not everyone may be able to relate to that.
Hmm.
Share a little bit more about what that means for you and what that looks like in your sales process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to come around to another big aha moment that I had working with you, which is around masculine and feminine energy. This was a new concept to me because in corporate world, we're not talking about feminine energy, are we? Yeah, no. We're talking about masculine things, structure.
Yeah.
You got to grind it out. It's a hunt. We're called hunters in the selling world, and there's so much of this masculine energy, which, by the way, as you've taught me, it's a beautiful balance. You
Totally.
need both things to be successful, but
Yeah.
I was quite honestly parched of
Yeah.
feminine energy in my corporate world.
Totally.
It was all grind, it was all structure. And when I started to focus with the feminine, which is the flow, which is the vision, which is who do I want to be as a corporate seller? How do I want to present to my customers what's authentically me?
Mm.
That started to release more of that feminine energy. And I started to just own that version. And that's where the lean back came because I honestly started to say, I think you taught me that quantum leaping will never happen from the masculine.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Yes.
The vision of the feminine, the flow
Yeah.
of that energy is what will allow you to bend time and space
Yeah.
and get results faster than you ever thought. So that energy is what I started to work in to my everyday activities as I prospected, as I had client calls, as I prepared for big meetings. It was almost like, how can I make this uniquely mine?
Yeah.
How can I co-create? And how can I just put that vision of Kelsie as an executive seller into that? And then it was more of like a co-creation process and just leaning back and enjoying
Yeah.
all elements of selling. It used to not feel like that though. So
Well, you mentioned the gripping and the white knuckling, which I completely used to do. And even as someone who now knows better, occasionally I still find my
occasional grip. I know, the white knuckle.
but what's beautiful about it is you develop a level of awareness
Yeah.
and you start to look back and notice, have I ever gotten the results I wanted from gripping and white knuckling? Which it's no. And sometimes for someone who's listening, that may be all that you know right now. And we're here to say there is another way.
Yeah.
There is another way to sell. There is another way to experience even greater client flow, even greater money flow. But when you learn to become aware of that and you shift out of it, you can tap into that energy of flow where
Yeah.
clients come through more easily, deals come through. So what started shifting for you there? Did you experience different things in
Oh, yeah.
the sales results
Oh,
as you moved that energy?
absolutely. I think the
Yeah.
big thing that we worked on was actually putting a set point to a million version dollar of yourself.
Yes. I love that.
And
Yeah.
that shift in and of itself, because we ask yourself a question if you're wondering, where's my financial set point? Because I wondered that. I was like, I don't know. I think you asked a question, how much money do you think like you're worth? Like, what's the value of your time? And I had a number in my head, and lo and behold, that had been where I was making almost every year before that.
Yeah.
So until I started to shift my mind to a version of me that was making seven figures,
Yeah.
then I could actually start being her. So it's like there was a rewiring of the mindset that I had to have an awareness first
Mm.
that I was actually not a $1 million version of myself because I asked that question to my subconscious and it was like, yeah, you're not.
And it'll always tell you,
It will,
right? We always manifest based on what the subconscious believes. Yeah.
exactly. So I started to say, well, let's believe and
Yes.
act and feel as if we are a $1 million version
Mm.
of ourselves. And then all of the things started to kind of shift around that. But it came with a lot of visualization, meditation. There was work to think, okay, what could I elevate if that person was me now? How would she feel? How would she act?
Love
What
that.
would she believe? So yeah, once I started to focus on that version, it started to shift pretty rapidly as well.
Yeah, I'd love for you to speak a little bit more to that too, because you mentioned a little bit earlier too about tapping into like executive presence,
Yes.
right? And who that for you to really be that executive level seller and to embody that and then connecting with this identity of $1 million Kelsie, which we know is already done. So now we're
Yeah.
going to go beyond that
Yeah.
and start connecting further. But for someone who maybe has an income goal, whether it's their first 6 figures, maybe it's 7 figures, maybe it's 8 beyond, and they wanna connect with that version of themselves, but they're like, "I have no idea where to start."
Yeah.
Speak to us a little bit more about what you did specifically to connect with that $1,000,000 version of you.
I think it's such a good question, and I know people have that because I had that same
Yeah.
question too, and I think the first thing I'd say is think of money as effortlessly as your breath. So take
Mhm.
that piece and put it outside of your mind and just dream. Go in and dream, what does your life look like if you knew? If it's for me, it was a fear thing. It was always, I was scared that the money wouldn't be there. I was scared I wouldn't be successful. There was a lot of doubt.
Mm.
And when I said, put those limiting beliefs away and dream, what did that look like? When I started to put myself into that place, Elise, it started to become very visible to me that, oh, this is how I get there. A woman who easily makes 7 figures isn't concerned that money is going to be there. She's easily seeing that flow into her account. She sees all the clients that come to her. There's a different level of attractiveness to that. And so I would say, put the limiting beliefs down, set them aside,
Mhm.
start dreaming, and then just start saying, okay, I can connect with that version of that woman. What does she do? How does she dress? How is she presenting in a room? Is she asking her boss for a million different opinions, or is she confident? Does she know this is what she's going to do and she follows intuition? Right? So starting to tap into that energy, but you have to release some of the idea of the how.
Yeah.
And as you know, I have had that challenge of and getting to go past that where I don't always get to understand every minute detail. I get to release the how, connect to the vision, and start embodying that.
That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. What you spoke to there is so important, and it's something we talk about in the community too, which is,
Yeah.
everyone I think in our community is driven, ambitious. You're driven and ambitious, and we own that. And I love being in a place of expansion because I think that my belief is we're all spiritual beings having a human experience, and we're here to expand and
Yeah.
experience more of ourselves. So wanting more in terms of money and goals, like that's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But we can start to get grippy with it when we make our self-worth about, until I'm at this level, I'm not good enough. So we talk about shifting your focus from manifesting or creating or achieving whatever word someone wants to use, a certain dollar amount, and instead focus on manifesting the version of you with that
Yep.
end goal accomplished. And the end goal is naturally going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be a byproduct. So that's a lot of what I'm hearing
Oh,
that you did, and you just locked onto it, and you
yep.
you started doing that.
In a
Yeah.
different way, Lisa, of thinking. In the
Mm.
corporate world, you're not taught that. Usually there's a script, there's a talk track. In
Yeah.
corporate selling, there's a lot of structure. And so to shake out of that and to really step into your intuition, that's exactly what you need to do. You got to get attached to that vision, but it's a completely different way
Okay.
of selling. But my results came in so much faster than I ever expected. And I was working less hours. So
Yes.
I mean, I just think that's like a huge benefit of playing with this. If you have doubts, give it a shot. I thought, well,
Okay.
what's the worst? What's the worst that could happen here?
Yeah.
Like I learned something new and it becomes easier. And sure enough,
Yeah.
that's that was the
That's it. And I think that's the biggest thing that I would say to people is like, just be open-minded,
yeah.
right? Because when I started learning this material, it blew my mind. And I was like, there's got to be a catch. There's got to be something where this isn't actually true. But
Right.
it has continuously proven true in my
Mhm.
life. And we're not talking about not taking action because
Oh
you
yeah,
do take action. And so
absolutely.
the tools and resources from corporate, if you're listening and you're in corporate, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you've got scripts, CRM, talk track for your team, like we use that
Oh
within our company. Nothing
yeah.
wrong with that. That's the masculine piece. But to your point, when that's all that we're focused on and we're not
Mhm.
doing any of the embodiment and the identity work and the self-concept work and the money work,
Yeah.
then that's where I find people stagnate
Yeah.
and they
They hit
don't
a ceiling.
they don't ascend. Exactly.
Right.
So I'd love for you to speak a little bit more to the time piece too,
Oh,
because I know this has
so
been
much fun. Yes.
a big thing for you. This is a big shift for a lot of members
Yeah.
of our community, and I know you wanted to be able to achieve more and also have more time with
Yes.
your daughter, which
Yeah.
is completely understandable and beautiful. So what's shifted for you in terms of time, and what's your experience like with time now and
Okay.
creating results?
Another huge limiting belief cracked was time
Hmm.
and how long it would take or how much time you would need to do something
Yeah.
specifically. So before it was like, I think there's a lot of ways of thinking out there that says it has to take a lot of time to earn a lot of money. It has to take a lot of time for you to get experienced and see those results. I believed that. I did. I thought, I'm going to have to put in my time and grind everything out, and eventually it'll come to me. And when I had Olive, my daughter, I was like, I'm not going to have enough time for her. And then I felt so much guilt around that. And I thought, how am I going to do corporate life, be a mom, be a wife? It was so overwhelming, right? So we knew that was where I was. But what I came to learn in using things like universal laws and balancing feminine and masculine energy with all the great tactics and strategies, right? All of this is a full package. But when I started to say, you know what? Why does it have to take X amount of time to accomplish this goal? Why does it have to show a certain amount in my pipeline to achieve that result? And I just said, you know what? I'm open to seeing things work out in a different way.
Yeah.
Just that little shift, instead of being like, I had to see a certain amount of pipeline or I had to have enough time to do this. I actually started to condense my time. And so I'm working a 30-hour work week, honestly, in
Yeah.
corporate life so I can spend more time with my baby girl, which it's such a win-win
I love
because
that.
I'm hyper focused at work.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on serving my clients and doing everything I absolutely need to do to move my business forward. But then I get to be a mama,
Mm.
and that fuels my soul. So I get to come back to work as a happy, fulfilled woman because I'm not having to sacrifice. I really, truly feel like, I think I told you that in the middle of this first quantum leap, I was like, I'm so happy that I really feel like if it was ended tomorrow, I'd be truly thrilled with what I've accomplished. Like I've broken and shattered these ceilings of what I thought had to be just by shifting some small thoughts around what it was and said, you know what? Why can't it be this?
Yes.
And it shifted. So, yeah, it's so powerful. It
It
really is.
to me, that's always how you know that you're on track for the quantum leap is
D
you feel differently.
Yes.
That's actually how you know. Even before anything has changed in your physical 3D world, you start to feel whole. You start to feel complete. You feel maybe a sense of love, a sense of peace that you haven't felt before,
Calmness.
calm,
Wow.
self-love, all of that. And then from that place, the results that we create
Yeah.
are way different,
Yeah.
right? They're radically different in
Yeah.
our life as well. You spoke earlier to, I wanna make sure that I touch on this with you while I have
Yeah,
you. This
please.
is good. So, selling from wholeness, right? And that's a concept that we teach, that we talk about in the
So
community. For someone who's not familiar with that concept,
mm,
I'd actually love for you to share, like, from your
yep.
lens, what that looks like and what that feels like for you.
Yeah, very important
Yeah.
differentiation to where a lot of people in corporate probably come from, which is internally motivated. So, selling from wholeness is releasing the attachment to results, in
Mm.
my opinion.
Yeah.
So, in selling, you have a quota, you have a lot of pressure. As an entrepreneur, too, that's the same thing, right? You're feeding your family. And so you get attached to this construct. And when you start to say, look, we're going to try to shake this. And instead of it being me serving me, I'm going to switch it to how can I serve them? It's coming from service
Yeah.
and support and knowing that your client, your perfect client that you love to work with is out there regardless of how this meeting is going to turn out. And you have
Mm.
to knowing, like, I just trust that my right people are going to be there for me at the right time and everything's going to work out for me. That's the selling from wholeness. It's knowing that if the results don't validate me. It
Mm.
used to. I used to say, well, if I'm at the top of the leaderboard and I'm making this amount of money, I'll be valuable. I'll be
Yes.
worthy. It's finding internal worthiness and then bringing that to your customers and just you're just at a different level because you don't need the validation. You're not
Yes.
seeking from you don't need them because
Yeah.
you're whole inside. So I think the big shift is going from an internal focus where you're just there to close the sale. You
Right.
need the money. You're going to need this to be this number on the leaderboard too. I'm just here to serve. I'm
Yeah.
just here to help. How can I serve you? And are we a good fit to work together? And if not, that's totally okay. We wish you all the best, you know?
Yeah.
That's the energy shift
That's
for
so
me
good.
and how I'm selling from wholeness now.
That's so big. That's so big. And the side effect of that is that you do sell more,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
but you're not trying to. You don't feel
Right.
like you need it.
Nope.
How would someone, and I know this is probably it's a bigger conversation and question to unpack fully, but maybe just first step for someone to connect with their own inner sense of self-worth outside of anything to do with results, outside of
Oh.
numbers. How did you start to find your own worthiness again?
You know, the easiest thing to do is just practice gratitude. So
Mhm.
I actually bought a journal when I started going on this, and I just said to start to connect to the inner self.
Yeah.
Let's just write down 10 things that I'm grateful for every morning and just really feel that gratitude coming in. And then you start to realize, oh my God, my life is so amazing right now.
Yeah.
It's holding the vision, yes, and that's beautiful because we're wired for expansion
Yeah.
and that will happen. But being present and being in the moment and reflecting on all the amazing things that you have right now
Yeah.
was one of the first steps and still something that I do daily to ensure that I am selling from a place of wholeness. Because you see, if you really do feel like you've got it all, you've already won the lottery and you feel that, things will just attract back to you at that level. And so that's my advice for those that are like, I don't know how I even start that. Just practice gratitude. See what happens if you weave that in before you open up your email or you respond to that customer. What are you grateful for?
I love that so much.
Yeah.
We started doing a, blessings jar with Jack, our 4-year-old at home, and so I made his job every day. Yeah, it's like every day we write down one thing we're grateful for, and, like, I'll write something, he'll write something, and we put it in this jar, and so we're gonna review it at the end of the year, and
Beautiful.
it's so fun because I think that, I think part of the power of you doing this work, me doing this work, our community doing this work is that we can teach our kids,
Oh,
right, how to shift,
that's
and we can
amazing.
teach our kids come in knowing this, but a lot of times we forget that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the power of gratitude really is alchemy.
Oh, mm.
I know it is. So speaking of kids, um, for you, you've got your beautiful daughter,
Yeah.
Olive.
Olive.
What's one piece of advice that you would give to her on her journey that maybe you wish you knew starting out
Oh,
on this path
oh,
that
we're gonna go deep. You're going, see, we're going there. He's 16 months, so I'm not sure. I'm trying to think, how do I?
you're probably she's how old yeah, she's
Yeah.
however old you are now, and you're giving her, like, your best piece of life advice. What would that be?
Oh man. Yeah, so many amazing things. I think that one thing I would tell her that would be different than what I was told growing up is that the vision and your desires are green lights
Yeah.
and they're so important to follow. And that when you deny them, when you turn them down, you're you're kind of killing a little piece of yourself and you will find that
Mm.
resistance throughout your life until you start to step into it.
Yes.
So rather than saying never follow your passion because your passion won't have money, I would say learn how to find things that you love and be open to the fact that you could totally change the game in it
Yep.
and just be open to seeing things shake out in ways that you didn't even see your mom and your dad
Yeah.
live out and be open to that, but definitely find passion and keep that in your life however you can. It doesn't have to be your full-time job to start off, but follow your passion and do something with that keeps you connected to your bigger vision in
Mm.
some way, shape, or form as much as you can,
You
and the rest will fall into place.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I love that. I love that we get to shift and change things for our kids with this
Yeah.
work, and she'll watch this years from now and love it.
Changing
Yeah, we are. It's so powerful. Final question for you, and then I want you to tell everyone where they can connect with you and,
Yeah.
all of that good stuff, but we hinted that there was a first quantum leap, and now there's a second one that you're in as well, and one thing I'll say with this work is I've experienced this myself, it never ends. You're continually asked to grow, to elevate, to ascend. So,
I know.
anything that you wanna share about just fun things that have happened since your first quantum leap and perhaps how you're quantum leaping now?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I do think we're in a second quantum leap,
Yeah.
and the reason I can say that is because, we are in escrow on our
Yeah.
dream home in
That's awesome.
California, which, for the record, felt like a million years out when we started to work together, but, to see our family step into this home faster than we ever could have imagined in the timing that is so perfect for us is a receipt, is
Yeah.
proof that this happens. And that would be another thing I would just say is like always look for receipts.
Yeah.
You have receipts in your life. It's how you want to find them. So another receipt is stepping into a home that feels like the $1 million version
Yeah.
of our family, and to see where it goes next is really exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the how. I just know it's the
Yeah.
catalyst for it.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of it. Yeah,
So
we're so
excited.
excited.
I'm so excited for you.
Thanks.
And you're such an inspiration too, truly, to me, to members of the community, to everyone watching as well. So share with everyone how they can connect further if they want to get in touch with you, hear more about your journey. Please
Yes.
go ahead and share.
I
Yeah.
think the best place to connect is on LinkedIn. Kelsie Nibel, you
Yeah.
can find me there. I'm also about to start a YouTube channel to reach more corporate sellers and
Yeah.
share more around, how am I going through quarter end? How are we going through year end? In some of these ways, the tactic strategies, and as well as some of the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to starting that soon. So if you have any questions, I'm an open book, and find me on LinkedIn, and we'll have a conversation. But I'm here to share what I've learned. So thank you, Elise, so much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So much love for you. Thank you for just embodying this work and showing others what's possible. And I know that we'll have you back and keep tracking your journey as well, because I know it's gonna be so good. Thank you, as always, for being a listener of Superhuman Selling. We are so grateful for you. If you want to connect further with my team and you are ready to quantum leap your sales, your business, and your life, you can go to elisearcher.com/free call. Get connected for a free call with my team. And I just want to remind you to remember to trust yourself on your path. Your desires are green lights, and they're always leading you and everyone around you to a brighter future. See you soon.